You're listening to the Metaroy podcast and welcome to a brand new episode. This is your host Roy, and every week on this show, we learn and unlearn about one aspect of the crypto world. Now we have seen that cryptocurrencies are rarely relied on for everyday transactions, possibly because they have so far been expensive, slow, and cumbersome to manage. But one of the largest obstacles in the mass adoption of cryptocurrencies is price volatility. In this episode, we are going to be talking about how we can build stable cryptocurrency systems, and to tell you all about it, we have Joel Clelland with us today. Joel is the CEO of Centric Foundation. Centric is a robust, decentralized, and protocol-enforced solution to price stability. It's a dual-token cryptocurrency system working to stabilize price fluctuations and to provide a global, borderless medium of exchange. Joel brings to us an impressive track record of leadership in various industries and capacities, including finance, education, and the non-profit sector. Prior to joining the Centric team, Joel built and led a successful sales and marketing practice in the insurance sector. Additionally, he serves as a board member and volunteer for Project Boon, a non-profit based in Southern California. Joel, thank you so much for joining us, and I really appreciate you taking the time out for speaking to us today on this interview.
I'm glad to be here, Roy. Thanks for having me on.
And if you're new to this show, do subscribe and follow me on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, pretty much every platform that you get your dose of podcasts on. Before we start though, just a quick disclaimer. The following content is informational only and none of it should be interpreted as financial advice. So please do your own due diligence before making any moves in the crypto space. With that out of the way, let's get started. So Joel, let's start with your story. What is your background and how you came about to being in the Web3 space?
Thank you again. And thanks, Roy, to you and your listeners. Glad to be here today. A lot of times when people hear Web3, they're not sure what that means. And if Web 1 or Web 1.0 was the first chapter of the internet, Web 2.0 was when big tech started transacting in our data. And there was a lot of freedom, but there was also a lot of responsibility that kind of came along with that, being accessing the World Wide Web across all platforms. In Web 3 or Web 3.0, one thing that I really like about it is that the users get a chance to really be in control. There's that possibility for us. And I think that the most significant takeaway, if there's a takeaway about Web3, is it's about community and building communities that have an ecosystem, that have a personality. And that was something that drove me to the Web3 space originally, was just community. I've been involved with communities for 30 years in different capacities. And when I first got into crypto, I noticed that cryptocurrency communities are very intense. They're very passionate about their cryptos. And that was something that attracted me initially was the fact that it was a community of very creative people for the most part that were also very hungry for change in all the markets, not just the financial market. And that was what originally got me interested in crypto and Web3.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. Was Centric your first project, or did you start with something else and then you moved on to Centric?
Well, Centric was the first project that I worked with, and Centric's the only crypto project that I've ever worked with. Obviously, it wasn't the first project I invested in, but once I started investing in Centric and became acquainted with Centric's community, I knew I'd found something special.
So crypto markets are really fluctuating and there's a lot of price volatility. How do you see Centric solving that particular problem?
One of the things that we're really focused on at Centric is solving price volatility. We think that it's the greatest, I think you mentioned that earlier, it's one of the greatest challenges to adoption is price volatility. When most people look at crypto, they think, what is crypto? That's their first question. I'm sure you've got that question as well, Roy. And I always simplify, I'm like, it's digital money you keep in a digital wallet. That's it. It's digital money you store in a digital wallet. And if it's money, we should be able to transact with it. Yes, we should be able to pay with it. But up to this point, most cryptocurrencies have been so volatile that they don't make a great medium of exchange. What Centric is working to do using two tokens is stabilize price by design. And one of the mechanisms, if you will, or one of the ways that the crypto market has initially tried to stabilize prices by issuing asset-backed cryptocurrencies or stablecoins. And these are cryptos that are actually backed by something else. Maybe they're backed by fiat currency, maybe they're backed by other cryptocurrencies or some other asset. And the way Centric is kind of changing that model a little bit using the two tokens is we have one token that's traded and one token that's not traded. And the token that's traded is designed to eventually stabilize and be $1. So it wouldn't be asset backed, it would be a cryptocurrency that's worth $1. The second token in network isn't designed for trading, and it provides hourly yields. And what is it yielding every hour? It's yielding more of that traded token every single hour. And sometimes people ask, is that ever going to end? The answer is no. It's never going to end. It's always going to be yielding more of that traded token. Now, is it going to yield at the pace that it's yielding right now forever? No. And if people were to study Centric protocol, they'd see that right now we've got a fairly high APY, that in-network token Centric Rise is actually yielding north of 200% a year right now. It's at 13% just for this month. And obviously that's not going to continue forever. But during this adoption phase, these early adopters will say is success favors early adopters, right? Absolutely. The one thing that those of us that have been in Centric since the beginning of the two token system is we've been enjoying those high yields. But what we believe is going to happen over time is those two tokens together eventually going to balance out price, because there is that in-network token that has a fixed yield. It's not going to be impacted by trading. And then the traded token, after all of the hard work of the team and the community and getting the word out about Centric Swap, is going to get adoption and get its price discovery. We believe that's going to happen. And how's that going to happen? Obviously, inside the protocol, there's something we can't forget to talk about, and that's the burn. So the main burn in the protocol is happening every hour. So along with the hourly yield of Centric Rise, there's an hourly burn. So a certain portion of that in-network token is burned away every hour, thereby creating some scarcity in the protocol. And we believe what's going to happen over time is there's two things that are going to happen is supply and demand for Centric Swap is going to hit its popularity point and its point of equilibrium, which is around $1 USD. And then in the network, because CNR is becoming more scarce every hour, less of that CNS will be produced every hour as well. So we think that's gonna create a stabilizing effect, not just in the protocol but also in the market.
That is the dual token system that you are talking about, right?
Mm-hmm, that's correct.
So how is it different from a stablecoin in the sense that how does it overall improve the price stability of crypto markets?
Right. And Roy, you're absolutely right using the word stablecoin, because in our documents, we even talk about synthetic stablecoin.
Right.
We say that what we're doing is we're creating the conditions for a synthetic stablecoin. And what would differentiate a synthetic stablecoin from a traditional stablecoin is traditional stablecoins are asset backed to one degree or another. And so traditional stablecoins like a Tether or a USDC or something like that, it's $1 or some other fiat currency is deposited and then out is issued a stablecoin or some equivalent to that fiat. It could be other cryptocurrencies. There are some asset-backed cryptos that are backed by Bitcoin, for instance, things of that nature. But Centric is capitalized only by itself. So the entire protocol, the entire network is only capitalized by the liquidity that's poured into the network by users purchasing Centric Swap CNS from exchanges and DEXs, and then Obviously, when the users understand that there's this second token, they want to access it for those hourly yields, especially if their intention is to hold. We never want to discourage people from trading CNS. We know a lot of traders are using Centric Swap for trading. That said, most of the people who are looking to invest in Centric are looking to do that for the long term by accessing Centric Swap CNS, bringing it into the network, and converting to Centric Rise CNR for the hourly yields. And so that's what makes it truly unique, makes it different. It's not backed by fiat, it's not backed by Bitcoin or anything like that. It's backed by the faith of the network and the liquidity, or rather volume, that comes into the network by people who want to access Centric. And so Centric is truly capitalized by itself. When, at that point in the future, we don't know what that is, because CNS its price is determined by the market, just like every crypto. We don't know when it's going to hit that equilibrium point that we were talking about, but we like the flexibility of it. I think that's something that drew me to the network. This was before I even worked for Centric. One of the things I really liked about the network is that the network doesn't lock up your tokens. In order for people to access the rewards or the yields, our tokens are never locked up. Now, are there platforms where you can stake Centric Rise? Yes. But in the protocol itself, the users have the ability to move in and out of the network on demand. So I like that flexibility. I think that's good for the users of the network to have access to that. They should always have that autonomy.
Absolutely. And I think one of the main challenges that people have is their liquidity is stuck in some protocol, or they've staked their Ethereum, and it's just stuck there, right? So I love the way how Centric is actually helping preserve the liquidity while still working on the yields part of it. So I think that's a great solution.
Yeah, I think we're a very conservative protocol. I mean, to say that in crypto, I think is a hard thing to say, because this is a very exciting and progressive space. But we're really focused on making the money play, or the currency play, as a global borderless currency. So that's really where we're focused on. We're focused on being transactional. Money is also a store of value, so we're focused on that component as an investment. And we just, like you, Roy, I love the fact that you want to educate people and keep it fun and interesting, absolutely. Right? Absolutely. In Web3, because there's a lot of learning that goes into this. I mean, at the outset, I said, let's simplify it. What's crypto? It's digital money. You store in a digital wallet. After that, it's like it's kind of up to the individual to decide what crypto is going to mean to them. Are they going to use it for transactions? Are they going to use it as investment or some other use?
Absolutely, and that is
what I like your approach a lot.
Thank you. Yeah, I think that is what we strive for, just to make it easier and simpler for people to understand, and it should not come across as a technical blog or something like that, which is
right. I think that's when we lose people sometimes.
Exactly, and I am learning myself. I'm hearing it from experts like you who are actually working in this space, and it's obviously a great learning experience for me as well. So I think my next question is a fairly obvious one. A lot of our listeners have been asking this question about Terra Luna and how there has been like an attack on it. And it's literally nothing short of an attack, and of massive proportions as well, right? And a lot of new people in this space have been actually first seeing a bear market, then Terra Luna crash. They have been very skeptical about this.
Yeah, they're waiting for things to kind of get back to some sense of normal, or get back in the green. More green candles, please. More green candles.
Yeah,
I get it.
But since even yours is a dual token currency system, somewhat similar, I'm not sure about the exact similarities. How do you explain that, let's say, to a novice investor? How do you explain this difference between Terra Luna's protocol and your protocol?
I understand, though, that, when I mentioned Bitcoin earlier, I mean, Terra Luna does have Bitcoin in the reserves. Right. And that's not the approach we're taking. I mean, there's a number of dual token projects out there, and everybody's doing things a little bit differently. And I've analyzed a lot of them, not just, UST Luna. But it's fascinating to me to see, like, just the creativity in this space. How many projects are trying to do different things, whatever it is, make entertainment in the music space better and more efficient. Over here, you've got the DeFi, which is this open concept. And it's like, okay, what's that going to look like? The future of banking, the future of insurance, the future of anything related to money. Gambling. I mean, let's face it. I mean, the casino scene online. I mean, over 50% of pretty much all crypto use online is wrapped up in casinos. And it's just it's fascinating to me because I look at every project that's out there that's kind of similar to us, but then I notice that even they're different than we are, and it's fascinating to me. Yeah, we've got two mechanisms in our protocol that I think are very different. One is that we have that in-network token centric rise that isn't designed to be traded. We don't have a true USDT type of stablecoin in our protocol. We've got CNS, which is designed to eventually stabilize at that price. So those two mechanisms are very different. So in a sense, whereas a project like that has two tokens that are technically traded and accessible on exchanges, Centric Rise will never be put on an exchange, not by Centric Foundation anyway, because it's not designed for that. It's not designed to be speculative. Does that make sense?
Correct. From what I gathered from this conversation was Terra Luna is obviously backed by digital assets such as Bitcoin itself, while Centric's protocol is governed by the market and governed by the amount of investors investing in Centric directly rather than being dependent on a different digital asset like Bitcoin, for example. Is my understanding correct?
No, that's a great way to put it. And the one thing that I would probably just add to that is I can't speak to every project, but I can speak to what Centric's doing is we are really focused on building a huge ecosystem. And, dApps, traditional businesses, and things like that. And so like for us, we're always looking for integration where we can add value, because what happens is that drives the value of the network as well. One of our partners is a cryptocurrency payment gateway, Now Payments. And you might be familiar with Now Payments, I don't know. But Now Payments allows cryptocurrencies to integrate with Now Payments so that users can pay for traditional goods and services all over the world. And we've been getting a lot of positive feedback with that because people want to be able to use their crypto. I mean, and there's a segment that just wants to use it for trading, or they use it, like I said, for gaming or what have you. But whether it's an investment or transactional money, being able to have that flexibility, I think, is really, really important.
Right. I think there have been a lot of Indian developers in our listener base as well who have been building on Ethereum. So this is your pitch. This is
Correct.
your time for you to actually ask them to actually move to your platform.
Yeah, well, Centric's on the Binance Smart Chain. We're really happy to be on the BSC. There's a lot of, I wouldn't say it's collegial because there's still a lot of competition, but there's a lot of possibility for partnerships on the BSC. And if a project is relatively new, or let's say they're in the NFT side of things, there are a lot of platforms that have NFT compatibility, and we've got some platforms on the BSC that are pretty good. But it's good, it's fast. I mean, one of the reasons we're here is because it's cheaper than Ethereum. Not to disparage Ethereum even a little bit, they've done a lot of good work over there, but it's not the only place in town for crypto, which is nice.
Absolutely. I think there is enough space for us to all develop in crypto rather than focusing on a particular blockchain or a particular protocol. Yeah. What are some of the other use cases that you see Centric being used for? What are some of the maybe industries that Centric will be used for?
Sure. Well, we were talking about blockchains. I don't know if you had a chance to look at our roadmap, Roy, but having a native blockchain is definitely in our future. It's something that we want to develop at some point. It's not a major focus right now, but having a native blockchain, that's definitely in the future. The concept of centric centers, I don't know if you had a chance to look at that. One of the things, like I said about Centric, is we're really focused on the money play or being a currency and everything that's wrapped up in that. So I would consider Centric a DeFi project. We're definitely on the financial side of this market. There are a lot of projects that are on the creative side, or the gaming side, things like that. It's not that Centric isn't going to be involved with those to one degree or another, but we're really focused on being money and being transactional. And financial services is changing all over the world. And there are a lot of things in traditional finance that are going to remain the same. But one of the things that's great about crypto is it allows people from all walks of life to access money and access financial services. And I'm in a lot of conversations about that. And so centric centers would be our concept for the future of banking and traditional services using, blockchain enabling technologies and investments and things like that. So we have the centric centers piece, we have the native blockchain, as well as our growing ecosystem. And then the other part I would probably convey to you and your listeners, Roy, is something that we're working on now and have been for over a year, is expanding centric business services. Now, I mean, that's really where we've been doing most of our work, probably since, up around this time last year, actually. Yeah, where, like I mentioned, now payments earlier, where we're getting integrated with payment gateways. We also got integrated with now coin payments and my crypto checkout, also payment gateways. Several dozen companies globally that are accepting Centric for goods and services. Most of them are only accepting CNS, but a number of companies are accepting both of our tokens, CNS and CNR, which is kind of nice for our community because our community sees the value in CNR, and so do these businesses. And some of these businesses are actually receiving CNS and converting to CNR or holding Centric Rise CNR on their balance sheets because they believe in the future of our network. And one thing that's great for business services is, and this is something that I share all the time with people who are business owners, is don't miss out on crypto paying customers. There's an entire market of people who want to pay in crypto. They want your goods and services, but they want to pay for it in crypto. And that's a market that's going to grow a lot over the next 5 years. One statistic I saw from Brand Essence market research was that it's going to be about 22.8% a year, that market of crypto paying customers. And so that's really a focus for Centric, is we're going to continue to expand that. I think we're only getting started. I'm very excited. We've got a lot of things in the pipeline that we're working on, new projects. But those are the three areas I would say that are major use cases for us: is the native blockchain, centric centers, and centric business services. But in addition to that, just access across the board for users of all ages. I mean, one of the things, I'm sure you've seen this, Roy, the older generation isn't as much into crypto as the younger generation. But Gen Z, Gen Alpha, the younger kids, they're going to be very much into crypto, very comfortable with it. And they're stepping into a gamified world, if you will, where they want what they want, just like we do. Everybody wants what they want, and we need money to get it. Yes, and so crypto is just another form of money for us to get what we want, and that's what Centric really focuses on, is being transactional, being that next gen money, if you will, that's global and borderless and nimble and intuitive and easy to use and easy to access.
Awesome. I think you have a solid roadmap. I actually went through it, and you have covered a lot of it already. But I also saw that you are working with crypto donations as a strategic partnership, as it's a non-profit organization,
Yes,
which is making the world a better place. So
correct.
I saw that as well.
Yeah, that it's funny that you brought up crypto donations, because when I was originally being spoken with about coming to board at Centric it was about a year and a half ago, almost, it'll be 2 years in the fall since the Centric leadership team and I started talking and working together. And when we initially talked, we were talking about crypto donations. We were talking about the philanthropic work of Centric and having me maybe be a consultant, if you will, for Centric and its charity work. But that's a really neat entity. It's an organization that we've been working with since late 2021. And there's a number of nonprofits that have already decided that they want to work with crypto donations. And we see their platform's going to probably go live at some point. We're not sure yet. But they are talking with a lot of nonprofits, and that's great, because that's like another leverage point, in my opinion. That's another point where the market can see, okay, Centric's an investment, Centric's money, but they're also they've got a holistic approach, if you will. So I think Centric has a holistic approach. We're looking to make sure that across the board, we've got things dialed in. Everything from our business outlook and forecasting to what we're doing day to day and week to week and month to month and year, and then obviously that philanthropic piece, we don't want to forget about it. And so it's nice to have crypto donations there because they're a great partner, and it's going to be a great organization in the future.
Absolutely, I hope so. And another thing that I noticed on your roadmap was that you had a vision to reveal for the future of local banking as well. So can you talk about that? What is that vision?
Yeah, I was kind of mentioning Centric Centers just a little bit. And as I would say Centric Centers is one side of that future banking concept. I've been in a lot of conversations over the last few months about open banking, Web3 banking, or Web3 era banking. And because users are changing, and especially with the pandemic, we saw that we needed to be able to do a lot of things virtually. You and I are virtual right now as we record this interview. People are going to want more and more opportunity at their fingertips. And if you can't do it on a phone, or if you can't do it on your computer or your tablet or something like that, or your smart glasses or your smartwatch or whatever it happens to be, people are going to go where the access is. So, if we want crypto to be accessible for everybody at every time, we also want to have those services, whatever they are, top to bottom, back to front, banking and traditional services available at any time. One of the things I think has been difficult for a lot of users, especially the younger users, is coming into crypto is they see the traditional world. And the traditional world is only open Monday through Friday, right? True. And crypto's open 24/7. I mean, you can get on crypto exchanges, get on DEXs any time of the day or night, every day of the week, 365. And we believe at Centric that future of banking and anything you use money for should be available all the time for everybody.
Absolutely.
So, and I think with AI and the expanse of AI and a number of things are just going to make a lot of these things possible. And I think a lot of us that are paying attention we're getting excited, but everybody else is going to be very surprised over the next 2 to 10 years, I would say. I'd say even the next 5 to 10 years are going to be really exciting in Web3.
Absolutely. And I love how you're not just focused on one thing, but you're actually expanding into multiple things. You have Centric business going on. You have building Centric centers. You're actually focusing on the vision for local banking. You also have a responsibility of bringing developers onto the Centric protocol as well, right? So how do you manage all these things?
Right.
Which is your priority area for now?
Well, it's not just me. Isn't that nice? It's not just me. If it was just me, I probably wouldn't be on the phone with you right now or on this call. I've got an amazing team. We're a global team. My C-suite's really just top notch. Actually, 4 members of our team, we were on a Twitter Spaces. You familiar with Spaces? Yes. 2 weeks ago with a gentleman named Shill Me. Okay. And we actually had 4 of us on. I mean, you just have me today, but he had 4 members of our team on, just really, really smart people, very well versed in Web3. But the other thing that I really like about our team is they come from a lot of different walks of life. And we've got men and women, young and not so young like me. And just across the board, we've got people in a number of different countries. And the nice thing is that, when something, maybe there's a node issue on this chain over here, or there's something over here, or, customer service this or customer service that, most of that doesn't trickle through me, but I see it on my team, and my team is executing. And so the one thing I really love about the Centric team is not just how dedicated they are and committed to excellence, but they really know what they're doing. They're intelligent and intuitive, and they do the best that they can to make the right choices every day of the week. And that includes the weekends. So, I mean, because crypto is 24/7, so are we. Do members of our team need to take a break now and again? Yes. Do they get to take vacations? Absolutely. But we're always open for business, and we're always open to connecting with our community. And I'd say that's the other extension of our team. We have a lot of community members that are very involved with Centric. they're not just bullish on Centric on social media. They're supporting the community and the development of the project across the board.
Absolutely. One of the things that I saw in your roadmap in the future was you're building a regulatory portal. So for financial regulators to understand what Centric is and how they can adhere to the highest regulatory standards. So do you want to talk about how you're building that?
Sure, sure. So that's still very much conceptual, Roy. Just so you know, that's going to be a huge undertaking. And at the moment, I'd say like if we had top crypto exchanges up here, that governing board is probably down here. So that will probably come after our native blockchain. That's how far away that is, because that's going to take a lot of resources and a lot of bandwidth. And at the moment, our resources are really focused on Centric Business and exchange listings and partnerships. But that's definitely going to happen. And the nice thing is that we've got some advisors at Centric, as well as some members of our team that are in the C-suite that I believe are going to be excellent candidates, not just for that governing body, but also to help us find those key people. Because one of the things we're always looking for at Centric is people who are wise and thoughtful, have integrity, but at the same time also have that access. I've used the word access quite a bit during this interview. Access for people, for users, end users, people new to crypto, but then people who are affiliated with Centric should have access to power players outside of Centric that we can leverage. And I think there's probably going to be a voluminous white paper just about that part of the roadmap that you just discussed, because that's going to be like its own little annal, if you will. It's going to be very involved. But yeah, and it's going to take a long time to build that out. But is that like in the immediate roadmap? Not right now. Yeah. So, but these other three items, like I said, Centric Business, the native blockchains, actually probably going to happen before the governing body, but additional exchange listings, and then just integration with partnerships. And those are our three top focuses right now.
Got it. I actually was following the XRP case as well, and you know how regulators have not been understanding crypto so well as people actually in crypto, and that's what got me, very interested that you have already envisioned that you will be building this in the future for regulators to understand. So that is really interesting.
Oh, we have to.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Like I'm based in the United States. We've got offices in the UK, Singapore. We have team members in a few countries throughout the world. But back in March of 2022, the Biden administration put out an executive order on digital assets and cryptocurrency, and the top governing bodies in the world are talking about it. And what will regulation look like? What will the guardrails look like? Obviously we want sensible consumer protections. That's very important. But just governing the future of a project, there's a lot involved with that. And obviously the founders of Centric have a particular vision, and it's my vision. It's our team's vision. And anybody that would be in a governing body like that would need to share that vision.
Absolutely. I actually have a personal question for you, Joel.
Sure.
What do you actually do in your free time? How do you, if at all you have some free time, that is, what do you like to do in your personal life?
Well, tomorrow begins a weekend, and I'm actually going to be taking a day and spending it with my family tomorrow. So that'll be good. I think I spend a lot of time outdoors. I take a lot of walks. I tell people I'm an urban hiker because I live in the city. So I like to hike around. I'm a firm believer, use it or lose it. I was talking with a gentleman I bumped into on one of my walks earlier this week, and he's actually about 20 years older than me, and he has diabetes, but he's got it in check. He's doing what he's supposed to do, and I said, yeah, move it or lose it. That's what I said. That's why we're walking. He's all, yeah, I have to, or I'll die.
Absolutely.
That's what he said. And so one of the things I try to do is stay active and stay connected with people, obviously spend time with my family. And then I have a background as a musician. So, I when I have a chance, I sit down at the piano and play for five or 10 minutes in between everything else.
That's
But
really nice.
yeah.
I play the guitar myself, so
Oh, great. Yeah, I love the guitar. You know what? The guitar is a mobile piano because you can take it with you.
yeah, absolutely. I'm still
Love
learning it though.
guitar.
I don't claim to be an expert on it, but
Yeah, yeah. You know, we use the word enthusiast, Roy.
absolutely,
You're a guitar enthusiast.
absolutely. So,
Very good.
Joel, that's all the questions I had for you. Thank you so much for
Awesome.
joining us on this interview. I especially loved how simple you made it for us to understand these concepts, and it's great to see you at the helm of Centric and its vision, which is heading in the right direction, obviously. So, thank you for sharing these insights, and I really wish you all the best. So,
Thank you.
people who want to follow Joel's YouTube channel, links are in the description below. He talks about crypto and how the Centric protocol is actually helping advance the crypto space. So you can also connect with Joel on social media. Links are again in the description below. On that note, thank you, Joel. Thank you so much for joining with us today, and I wish you all the best.
Oh, you too, Roy. Thanks for having me on.